First of all, one of the things, I just muted the sound there, one of the things that you can do is you can alter the 6 of the menu buttons. So for example, if you would like to move the controls or the phone closer to the media, you come to phone here in the apps and you pull it down over here, and then as you've seen, the controls switched over to the right automatically where the phone app was before, phone menu was before. Now you can do this with all of them except for the center app button. That one you must absolutely, it always stays in the center of the menu. If we start with radio, we'll go from left to right on this one. It's fairly simple. You have in the actual radio mode, you have 3 choices: AM, FM, and Sirius XM. Now with Chrysler, you get 1 full year free of charge, or included in the vehicle if you prefer, with the vehicle. AM, hardly anybody ever listens to that, but still there. FM, and so you choose a channel either by going by tuning it manually, so you can tune 97 and go, or you can change one at a time right here, or manually with the knob right there. And then you simply hold down wherever you would like it to be programmed. You have 12 settings on every single radio mode. If you go to Sirius, you have again 12 settings for favorite channels. So Chrysler's come up with some really cool features for the Sirius XM over the years. One of the things that's really neat is the favorite button. When you push the button, a menu comes up and he asks you, obviously, cancel, and 2 other choices: add favorite artist or add favorite song. So for example, right now the Goo Goo Dolls are playing, and the song So Alive is playing. So for example, if that was a choice of one of your artists that you liked, you could say, well, I like the artist. But if it's, however, if it's only, you don't really like the Goo Goo Dolls, but you really like the song from the Goo Goo Dolls, you could just say add favorite song. Now what that does, you add it right there. And in the future, if I change, in the future, whenever the Goo Goo Dolls are playing again, a pop-up will come right here. It'll say something along the lines of favorite music. You push the button, and then the list of the favorite artists that are playing, because it could be more than one at once, will come up. So for example, if you are on channel 3 as I am right now, and the Goo Goo Dolls are playing in channel 15, and that is one of your artists that you like, well then it would pop up here. You would push the button and then you could say, yes, I want to go to channel 15, and it would bring you to the Goo Goo Dolls, where the Goo Goo Dolls are playing on channel 15. The thing that's also really cool, and this is new in 2016, is the fact that the song actually starts from the beginning. So what that means is, for example, if you waited 30 seconds, a minute before you hit your favorite artist and before you hit the song, it doesn't actually start where the song is playing right now on the radio station. It actually starts over from 0, which is a really cool feature. This is only true on your pre-programmed channels. So for channels that aren't pre-programmed, this will not actually happen, but we tend to, most of the channels that'll come up on your favorite artists will be ones that you've pre-programmed. Since there are, quite a few, you can have 12 channels, as I mentioned before. For your 12, you simply go there. To change channels, you can either go from the menu up there, or you can also use the buttons in the back of the steering wheel right here. So this is your seek, up or down, and if you push the little round button, you go through your pre-programmed channels. Now if you look at my hand, I will go here and I will hit that little round button I was just showing you, and if I hit it like I'm doing now, you can see that the pre-programmed channels are being highlighted in blue. Right now there's not that many pre-programmed, but that's it. So anyhow, that's a really cool feature. Another really cool feature, for example, Another really cool feature is the replay button. So replay, again, this is only available in the Sirius XM mode when you listen to the radio. AM FM this does not work for. And this is a Chrysler feature. This is not a Sirius XM feature. So for example, if you want to rewind, you can rewind here and go back basically since the car has been started up. Again, this is only for cars. Again, this is only for channels that are pre-programmed, that you can go back all the way from when you started the engine. So it'll register up to 12 channels at a time, all at the same time. You can, however, go back or replay on any channel. You'll just be able to replay since you've been listening to that channel. So for example, if you're on a channel that isn't in your pre-program and you start listening to it, your phone rings and you want to go back and hear since the phone rang and you had the conversation, you can go back and listen to it from that point, but you cannot go back all the way from when you started up the engine if it is not a pre-programmed channel. So again, though, really cool feature. So you know, the phone rings, one of your favorite songs has come on, and you really want to listen to the song. Well, you can still listen to it. You take your phone call, and then afterwards you just push replay, and you come back and you hear whatever song you want. And by the way, 1975, that I really do like. That's a cool band. Anyhow, that's of course just opinion. So that's pretty simple for the radio, and it's really cool features. Then you have your media. Media, you have CD player, USB, auxiliary, Bluetooth, or SD card. So all these features are mostly right here. So you have auxiliary, USB, SD, and your 12-inch 12-volt plug right there. So Bluetooth is Bluetooth streaming, and you can control also your Bluetooth through the VR button on your steering wheel, actually through Siri if you prefer. So if your phone is connected, you can definitely all control that. To connect your phone, if it is through auxiliary, well, that's pretty simple. You do it through the USB plug, auxiliary plug. That's pretty easy. It's a direct line, so you don't have to do anything more than just simply connecting your USB cord or auxiliary plug. Auxiliary is not the best, but USB is pretty good because you can control your phone through the radio directly. And then your Bluetooth. Well, Bluetooth in the past, you weren't able to do much except for playing what was playing right now on your telephone. However, with the new Siri function through your radio, you can actually just hold down the button here and it'll go to Siri. Now, it didn't go now because I have no phone connected to the vehicle, or paired to the vehicle. But that's a really cool feature. So through Siri, you could tell it, you know, play playlist, purchased, or play playlist, whatever you have as playlist, or play artist, Michael Jackson, whatever it is you want to say, just like you use Siri normally. Of course, to use Siri, you must have an iPhone. So that's another cool feature. To pair a phone, really simple. You just click yes here. It asks you a few questions. You got to go to your Bluetooth settings, add Uconnect when it's as one of your pairable systems to your phone, and then it'll ask you a few things. Yes, no questions, basically. It takes all of about 30 seconds to do. It's really a simple procedure. For your climate controls, you have some analog buttons here. So you have your force of the fan that's right here. You have your dual temperature gauge right here. You have your rear defrost, which also does your exterior mirrors. You have your front defrost, AC, and circulation. Basically retaking the same air over and over again. But you can also do it, your fan, for example, your force of the fan, you can do it anyway like this, or you can do it this way. It's got a lot of different, you know, Chrysler's really been working hard to make it sure that it's user-friendly, the system. And then you have the position of the fan here, the temperature. You can unsync as soon as the passenger basically touches his temperature gauge, his or her temperature gauge, then it will unsync automatically. You can resync this way. You have automatic climate control, which you also have over here, and you can turn off here, or again, you can turn it off here if you prefer. Push back, push back here to turn it back on. It's a fairly simple system. It's, you know, it's one of these systems that's really intuitive. It's really user-friendly. There's nothing complicated about it, and of course, it doesn't matter how many buttons you push on it, you won't break it. Your GPS, it's a Garmin GPS, really easy, where to, address, recent, point of interest, favorites. Certain features, of course, for safety reasons don't work while you're actually driving the vehicle. Then you have your map that's here, and then you can have all kinds of options, right? So in your map you can have 2D or 3D, and then settings, you can have a lot more detail in the map if you would like. You can even have in the settings, if you would like, map setup, vehicle icon. You can have something that's kind of, you have your regular Arrow, Challenger, Charger, Viper, or an SRT. Alright, it's not black as your color, as the color of this vehicle, but still pretty cool. So it's the SRT that's right there. And then you have your controls for you know, heated seats, ventilated seats, and heated steering wheel, as well as your automatic mirror dimmer. Again, all fairly simple. In apps, you also have settings, which you can go through your display and change all of that. We won't go through that in much detail because, again, it's fairly intuitive. It's not anything difficult to figure out. It's really complete, though, the way you can modify the vehicle to your liking. Your clock, you want it in 12 hours or 24 hours. Lights, your engine off option. So your engine off option is, for example, engine off, power delay. How long do you want the electricity to be on in the vehicle up until you close the engine? So that's a one that people often don't really understand. So right now it's set to 45 seconds, and a lot of people who don't get it explained to them very well, that's what they choose, not realizing that the electricity actually cuts off in the vehicle as soon as any one of the 4 doors is opened. So even if your passenger opens the door, when the timer is started, once you turn off the engine, it will turn off the electricity as long as one of the doors gets open. So I tend to put it to maximum personally, to 10 minutes, because if ever you do need it, then it's kind of fun for it to last as long as possible. And of course, this is not a feature that most people will use very often. And again, to repeat myself, the electricity will turn off. It will not wait the full 10 minutes every time you turn off your engine. As if you turn off your engine and you open the door right away, the electricity is cut off automatically. You have your audio, which you can also set, by the way, just so you know, when you're in radio or media. Here it comes to the same menu. Balance, equalizer, system adjusted volume, speed adjusted volume, your surround sound, auxiliary volume, offset. So for example, if your iPhone or MP3 player is not as loud as the rest of the radio, where you can offset it by up to 3 volume points of different units of difference. Let me just go back to settings. You have your phone Bluetooth setup, your Sirius setup, restore settings, clear personal data. So for example, if you sell your vehicle, you can clear all personal data, you know, your GPS home settings, all that, your favorite artists, etc., etc. Back to the main menu, you have your app manager. You have your drive modes right here. Drive modes, by the way, can also be accessed. If I just go back to radio, and if you can actually access it by pushing the SRT button right here, and it went right back there. So here, there's a whole bunch of different options to set up the vehicle, because this is a performance vehicle. So you can set up the vehicle really in many different ways. So you have launch control, shift light, so it'll actually shift light shows inside the cluster, so it'll actually and actually show you when it's shifting, which is pretty cool. So you can actually set up when it shifts on the RPM, so that's pretty cool. It's a really well done vehicle for stuff like that. Most people don't play around with this because most people will never really use it on a track or anything like that, but you can if you want to, and it's obviously made for that. So launch RPM setup, so you can have which RPM you want it at. It's fairly cool. So basically at the launch, what RPM it will be set on. Auto setup here. So auto mode setup, so you have your all-wheel drive, your transmission, your paddles, your stability, suspension, the steering, all things that can be modified. Now some of the things to begin with you have to adjust here, for example in sport or in track. Now if you see, it actually changes when I'm changing right now the mode to track. In transmission already went to track, your paddle shifts, your stability control is track, all-wheel drive is track, everything is that. So track mode is currently active. Track mode delivers maximum vehicle performance capability on smooth, dry surfaces. Auto mode will be activated automatically when restarting the vehicle. Eco will also be activated automatically if it was enabled the last time auto mode was in use. So it's, that's fairly well explained. And the vehicle does this in many different points. For example, if you want to use your voice controls to control the GPS in this SRT, SRT8, it does have a tutor that can guide you through them. It's fairly easy to use. The first time might be a little frustrating, but it's really, again, fairly intuitive. Chrysler's done a really good job with the whole media system to really make it as simple as possible. Another button you have here is the custom button. So you can go to custom, I don't know if you noticed, but that just came on. So custom setup, so you can put that to sport, and this is when you can change. If you don't want any of these on, this is when you can change the setup for the vehicle. So again, it's really well done. It's easy to use. If you want to know more information on what setup you have to have, well, you can have some professional drivers at tracks that can help you out on that, or just your own comfort level or preferences, just by driving the vehicle and feeling it out. For your transmission, it's fairly simple, right? So you have park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then you have your manual if you want to use it this way. You also have your paddle shift in back of the steering wheel. So if you look at the cluster, it won't let me go higher than second because I'm not moving, but it's you can tell when if I hit the panel, it goes down. The number there went to 1. If I go up here, it'll go to 2. So on the right side of the panel, of course, it's to go up speeds, and here is to go down speeds. You do have 8s. It's an automatic 8-speed transmission. When you put it in reverse, a really cool little backup camera here. It's really clear. It's on a nice 8.4 backup screen. And when you turn the steering wheel, as I'm doing right now, the lines turn to guide you where the vehicle is going to go. So again, another well thought out feature. The reason why it was beeping right now is because as I was in reverse, there were cars going back at me, and this car does have a blind spot cross path detection system. So as you can see, it's beeping, and as you can see in the rear backup camera, there are vehicles in the back of the vehicle. So it's just warning you, if you're backing up, careful, somebody's going to come, and if you don't stop, there's going to be a collision. So again, a nice safety feature. The vehicle is really intuitive. You can change the functions, the settings of your cross path and blind spot detection. It's a really nice feature. I don't know if you can tell. Probably not. Let me check on this one. I don't know if you can see. There's a triangle on the upper left corner there. When you have someone in your blind spot while you're driving, for example, on the highway or something, that will light up. Now, if you put your flasher on and you go to, and there's someone in your blind spot, it'll beep and tell you, hey, you got someone in your blind spot. If you're planning on turning, you might not want to. Now the blind spot thing can actually beep even though you're not putting on your flasher. It depends how you decide to set it up. Most people tend to have it beep only when you're flashing, or else it'll be beeping all the time. Of course, that's why it's always a good idea to use your flasher to change lanes, because it'll warn you if there is someone there. So you can just use the quick flasher. If you just give a quick tap, the indicator will go off 3 times, if you just saw. But that's enough time for it to warn you if there's someone in your blind spot. Now you can of course keep it on in the regular mode, which is just constant until you decide to take it off, or unless you turn the wheel and it'll turn it off. But this is a lot easier. Alright, so what's really cool about the cluster of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and especially in this edition, the SRT, is it's really user-friendly. So as I mentioned, this is the mouse or the controls of the cluster, if you prefer. And right from the get-go, it tells you, right? So if you forget how to start the car, press brake and push button to start. But there's a whole bunch of features. Right now, you have your adaptive cruise control. Setting, and you have regular cruise control, so you can start it just like regular cruise controls. You start it here, set up or set down at the speed you want. You can cancel it this way, and once you cancel it, you push resume there. If you want to use your adaptive cruise control, though, you must start with this button down here, and then you can set your speed with the same buttons up here. So you basically, whatever speed you're going at, then once there, you can push set, and it will indicate the speed that you're set at in the dashboard, in the cluster. You can always go up in speeds or down in speeds after you've set it. And this here is to, if you want to change the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. So the adaptive cruise control, of course, what that does, if the car in front of you slows down, your vehicle will slow down automatically without you having to adjust anything. You can actually come to a full stop, although we do highly recommend that you always be alert in case the system ever fails, because systems are fairly infallible, but it is still a computer. Things can still go wrong. So as for the cluster, there we go through. Now this is the terrain. So terrain right now, it's an automatic, adapt to most road conditions. This you can choose through here. That's your terrain. So you have towing, snow, auto, sport, or track. Now, of course, track is for on the racetrack. Sport is in sport mode, so you can be in the city or on the highway and you want to just have a little bit more performance from the vehicle. You want it to downshift quicker. Automatic is just, again, what we just read in the cluster. Snow is from snowstorms, and it does actually make a difference. And tow is if you are towing. You have your SRT. So your SRT, that's a really cool feature in the cluster, because you can have it count your quarter mile, your 0 to 60, your 0 to 160 kilometer an hour, and it actually just starts when you push on the gas. So automatically, when you push on the gas, when you let go of the brake and you push on the gas, it'll actually start right there to count it. There's a few other features. If you see down here, these are all the different options in this menu, and to go through that, you push side to side. So if you notice, these are all. Now it's saying it's not ready because the engine's not on. Because right now I am inside the aesthetics department, so I don't want to gas people with the car. It has all kinds of really cool features: your lap history, your top speed, etc. Really easy to learn. Just by playing around with it. This is the vehicle. So basically, your oil change life left to the vehicle, the battery, there's all kinds of stuff. Then you have your speedometer. Again, you can push OK here if you want to go in miles an hour or kilometers an hour. Here, since we're in Canada, it's obviously in kilometers. You can also change. If you notice, it's kind of changing places right there. You can set a speed warning. So since this vehicle can go really fast, really easily, and without you perhaps noticing. You can actually set, you push OK here. Right now it's off, so you would go up. You see the on right now is highlighted. I don't know if you saw the difference. And then you can set your speed that you want a warning at. So most people, it'll probably be, you know, in the higher, closer to what is tolerated, for example, as a speed, but you can set it to whatever you would like. I will turn that off right now, just in case that's not something you want. Press OK to view active diagnostic codes. This is press OK to screen setup. So for screen setup, it's basically you can change a few features in the cluster. So right now to the left, it's your compass, but you can have nothing. Your trip B, trip A, current consumption, average consumption, range, the time, the outside temperature, or again come back to compass. Now if you want to change, let's say you wanted, right now, let's say you wanted the outside temperature to the left. You would just choose that and then you would push OK. Now of course it's kind of silly, we have two outside temperatures, so let's just flip that around and put compass on this side. Again, you just push, you choose it and you push OK, and your settings are saved. You can come back to defaults from the manufacturer. Current gear on, so that's basically will tell you right next to the D when the engine is on, right next to the drive indication, what speed the transmission is in. Favorite menu, so you can actually take out some things. If you don't like, you know, your trip or your audio or whatever, you can actually take some of them out so it's faster to navigate. Messages, no stored messages. Messages is not what most people think. It's not your SMS or your emails. It's actually just messages from the vehicle, so your oil changes do, stuff like that. This is your audio, what's playing right now, what channel you're at. Your trip A, if you go to this next one, is trip B. To reset, simply push OK and it resets it. Your fuel consumption, so you have your range, your average liters per 100 kilometers when you're in metric. If it was in imperial, you would see your miles per gallon. And then this little blue line right here is your current consumption. Now again, the engine's not on, so nothing right now is reading. Your adaptive cruise control. And then I'll just put it back to what most people choose, which is the speedometer. Because the speedometer here, the analog one, it's really pretty, but it's kind of hard to read and it's really small, so you have to have really precise vision. So that's that for the cluster. You have other things like your automatic headline. You also have your high beams that are automatic. So your high beams, you can change that in your settings right here. If you go to lights, so headlights with wipe auto dim high beams. So your auto dim high beams, they're activated. To make sure they're actually working, the lever has to be left forward. If it's brought back to normal position, then your automatic high beams do not work. So for that to work, you leave it like that, and what that does basically is if somebody has, you meet somebody on a country road, for example, and your high beams will go on automatically, and they will also turn off automatically as soon as it sees a car coming in your direction, or if you start following a car, and it'll disactivate the high beams automatically. So of course you got the panoramic sunroof, that's right over here, and these buttons are fairly easy to understand. You have your tailgate there, button for the gas, you have your memory buttons for your seats. So I think that's a pretty good little video.